Today we're going to assemble a GoPowerSports mid-size go-kart kit. To assemble your go-kart kit, the following tools will be a requirement. You'll need a 3/8 ratchet, a 10mm and 14mm socket, a 10mm, 12 and 14mm wrench, an air gauge, a set of side cutters or dikes, and if you have one of the new battery operated impacts, these will become mighty handy with you during the process of the assembly. Your go-kart kit's going to arrive to your doorstep in a metal crate just like this one here with a cardboard covering on it. Once you get it to your door, it's very simple to move with a two-wheel truck. Basically, all you have to do is lift the end of it up. Make sure your engine is on the bottom end. That puts all your weight down here at the bottom instead of at the top being a little top heavy. While we've got it up here on its side, I want to point out you have a brace here and a brace here attaching the cart to the frame. You'll need to be sure to remove those so when you remove the cart later on, it'll be simpler to do and you're not trying to pick the cart and the crate up together. First thing we need to do is get our cart uncrated. The crate is held together with 8 bolts, 4 on each side, here and here, right here and here. You'll need a 14mm wrench and socket to take the bolts off. Now that we've got our bolts taken out of the bottom of the cage, it's time to remove the top. You can do it by yourself, but it's a lot easier if you have an assistant help you with it. Just simply grab the cage, go straight up, and just remove it out of the way. Now that we have our top of our cage off, we need to remove the shrink wrapping around the cart to get all of our parts to where we can get to them. Now that we've got everything removed, we need to take our cage bars off and our hardware pack. It's all held on by zip ties. You'll need your dikes or side cutters for that to remove it. It also helps if you have a bench or table handy to put your parts onto it. Now that we've got our parts off the cart, we need to remove the rest of our packaging here. We need to remove the clamp here, and as a reminder from earlier, we do still have a clamp here and here wrapped around the axles that need to be removed. Now that we've got all of our packaging removed from the cart, the crate is removed, it's time now to take our cart and roll it off of the lower frame section. Now we have our go-kart sitting on the ground, ready to be final assembly on it. We've got all of our parts out of the cart and unwrapped. Here's the following items you should have with your cart. You should have 2 top cage pieces, 3 crossbars for the top cage, your 2 side bars, your cage bolts, cage nuts, your R washers, your hubcap covers, your steering wheel cap, your 3 bolts and nuts for the steering wheel and your steering wheel. First thing we need to do is install the back part of the seat. It's simply a slip-on cover. Just move your seat belts out of the way. The seat will slip right over the back portion of the seat. Make sure to get your seat belt out from under it. Everything's nice and clear. Now that we have our seat installed, we're going to go ahead and install our steering wheel, which will be your 3 small bolts we talked about earlier with the smaller nuts. You'll need a 10mm ratchet and a 10mm wrench for this job. Now that we got our steering wheel secured onto the steering shaft, the final piece is the cap that goes in the center of the wheel. We're about ready to install the cage on our go-kart kit. Just a real quick point, our R washers, as they call them, have a concave side and a flat side. The concave side goes up against the bar itself for a nice, secure, snug fit. Now it's time to put on our roll cage. Final part of our assembly. We have 2 what they call the upper roll cage pieces. You simply insert the front onto the tab at the front and then slip the back end on. You'll take your R washers, making sure your concave is to the inside. And while we're doing this, we want to make sure at this point in time we are keeping all of our hardware loose on the cage until every piece is on it for simpler assembly. The next part to our cage are what's called the sidebars. We have two different ones. Each side will come up, angle back towards the rear, then towards the cage. They will not go on reverse. The last part of the assembly is putting in our crossbars for our cage. We'll have a bar here, here, and here. To insert the bar, you'll need to start at an angle, working the bar up towards the holes, putting your bolts in, Here again, we are making sure that we leave all of our hardware loose at this point in time. Helps in the ease of things moving around and making assembly a lot easier. Now that we've got our cage put together, it's time to tighten our bolts. We're going to start down here at the front. It's going to take a 10 millimeter and a 12 millimeter on the bolt and nut sections. And you'll just use your 10 millimeter up here on the tops. We also have a 10 millimeter and a 12 millimeter here as well, and one behind the seat. Now that we have this side of the cage secured, simply repeat the same process on the opposite side. We're here at the tail end of our assembly. About the only thing left to do is to put our air in the tires, check the pressures. While we're at it, we want to go ahead and make sure we have our cotter pins and all four nuts on all four axles. We're going to put our air in the front tire. We're going to inflate to 15 pounds per tire. Once we do that, you can put your hubcaps there on the end of the hub. We're going to do the same process for the rear tire. Now that we've got our car fully assembled, the only thing left to do is to check our engine oil. These units do come complete with oil in the engines. You've got your dipstick located up here at the front. We're simply going to make sure that we have oil in the crankcase. We need to fuel the cart. And never ever do this with a hot engine. You splash fuel on a hot engine, you run a very high risk of catching your engine and your cart on fire. Action. Now that we've got our cart completely ready to go, it's time to go ride. We've got our oil checked, our gas tank's full. All we got to do is start it. Down here on the side of the carburetor, we have our fuel on and off switch. The little arrow pointing forward is fuel on. Our choke, the upper lever, to choke it, you push the lever backwards. At the front of the cart, we have our on-off switch. Make sure the switch is in the on position. Once we've done that, start it up, take the choke off, and we're ready to ride. To kill the cart, just simply turn the front switch off. Once the engine dies, go ahead and turn the switch back to the on position. That way you're ready to ride once again and go down the road.